milestone now in the fight against COVID-19. Today, the White House expects to hit 100 million vaccines administered 6 weeks ahead of schedule. And a game changer that could get kids back in the classroom this fall, the CDC changing its guidelines for social distancing. This is news that really removes a major roadblock for schools. Mary Alice Parks has details.
President Biden departing Washington Friday, headed to Georgia, his first stop, CDC headquarters. The government agency today dropping social distance guidance at schools from 6 feet to 3 feet for students, as long as masks are worn.
This is an urgent issue. I understand the mental health challenges. I understand the educational challenge, this food insecurity. This is urgent.
The new distance guidelines only approved for school settings. New research suggesting the shorter distance did not impact infection rates as long as other protection measures are in place. The announcement, a major change that could allow more schools with limited staff and space to reopen.
Socializing is really at the heart of their developmental task.
But the new guidance could also reignite debates with teachers, who in some parts of the country have worried about a lack of safety precautions. Across the country, with many governors and local communities rolling back health measures and even more contagious variants spreading, 15 states have seen increases in cases in the last week. Michigan with a 53% spike and hospitalizations climbing too.
COVID-19 is not yet behind us. We may be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're still in the tunnel.
The White House celebrating the accelerated vaccine rollout, Biden beating his own goal of 100 million shots into arms in his first 100 days.
That's weeks ahead of schedule, and even with the setbacks we faced during the winter storms.
Health officials here in Washington pointing to new lockdowns in parts of Europe as a warning to Americans to not relax restrictions too soon. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.